In SAP, there is not really a good way to create incremental IDs. So we are left with two options, or at least in my opinion, these are the best two options. In here, I have a guide that shows basically what I'm going to teach you. For our use case, we have a simple table that contains an ID field and UUID that both are keys. So this is what is important, and here it's just a random string that I'm going to generate. As you can see, the table is empty, and I have this simple program. So in here, I'm just generating the name, and in here, I'm going to insert, and in here, I'm going to code our examples. If I run this one time, you can see that we have a random string, the ID and the YD, and if we run again, we're going to have a failed creation because we have the same keys being created. Okay, to start, we are going to make the ID or increment the ID, and for that, we are going to use a number generator, number range, sorry. So we go to the SNRO transaction, and we just need to give a name to the object. I'm going to give the table test, going to create, and it's going to be the ID of the table test, ID for the table, the table test. And in here, what is really important is that you put the type. So in my case, it's an MC. And I need to put a warning percentage. So basically, if I put 10 and I decide that I want from 1 to 100, when it reaches to 90, I'm going to receive a warning. So let's go with that. Let's save. I'm going to use my temporary package. And now in here, interval detecting intervals, you're going to create the range that you want. So in my case, I'm going to start at 1 and I want it to stop at 100. I'm going to save, yes, and my range is created. I'm going to put this tick of no rolling, so when it reaches to 100, it doesn't create anymore. Okay, to start with the codes, in here, in the ID, I'm going to call the function of number get next, and I want to receive the exception. So this exception is in case that something goes wrong generating the number. For example, we already reached the limit, so it doesn't really make sense to continue the program. In the return codes, I want to receive the warning, so the return code is about the warnings. So we could come here and get the type and just create it. Okay. And in the number range, it's in here. If you come here in the intervals, our is number 1. We can just copy and put here, and the name of our object. So if we come back in here, the name we gave, we put here. I don't want any of these fields, and I want to import the number. Oops. I don't want the quantity. So the number we can just put in our table ID and the return code that we created. And to show you how we can use the warnings. So in case is empty, we don't do nothing. It means that there is no warning. And in case it's 1, it means that we can just write a message that warning close to the end. We can put the error code, so, and we can also say the ID that we generated, so we know the number. And close, yeah, and let's do the same for the code 2. And when it's code 2, critical, because the next time that we are going to generate, it's going to give an error. So this means that when we reach here, we are in our 100, because as we saw, we have only 100 numbers. So let's save and let's create. So I'm pressing F8. If we come to here and I refresh, you can see that it starts to being generated, and I'm going to continue generating until it gives the warning that it's going to be the 90. Okay, we reached the warning, so it means that we reached the ID 90. If we come to here and organize this by the ID, as you can see, 90. So you're going to run it more 10 times to see the critical one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So as you can see, we got the error code 2. It's critical. We generate to 100. Everything ran fine. So if you come to the table, you can see that we have the ID 100. But now, if we run again, we're going to receive the error that of the exception from the function model, because it tried to generate again and it didn't let us. If we didn't have this tick, it would start again from 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the error would be because we already have that ID on our table. We can do that simple test. So let me, for example, take this here, save. And now let's run it again. Let me save, I guess and as you can see, now it fails the creation. Why? Because if we put a breakpoint, we are repeating our IDs. So we started again, so now we are in the 2. Okay, since now we have seen how we can increment IDs in the correct way, we can delete this part and go for the UUIDs. The UUIDs is very simple. We can just put the UUID directly in our field, and we just need to use the method that I provided in the guide. So this one. Why this one? Because in our table we have a raw 60. So this is going to create 60 characters string, or UUID in this case. And yeah, we can save and we can run. So I'm running it a few times, and if you come back to the table, you can see that we have the ID 0, because now we stopped generating the IDs again, and now we have the UUIDs all different, all being generated. And yeah, that's my recommendations.